The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the New Media Factory. Some programs on this network might include strong images and language and may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Would you come if I asked you to ride with me on this one-way road that leads? Well, I don't know, but I will take you anywhere you see. I know what you need, and what you've done is exactly what I
Hey there, welcome to Counterflow. We're live here at Beyond the Box Rockwell, one Rockwell actually, and we'll be going through for the next 45 minutes or so. My name's James Deacon, and we got a little bit of a different show for you today. Patio and Alan are not here with us right now, but we brought in some very special guests. And why I say it's a different show is while normally we do talk exactly to the audience and to the end user, the motorist, etc., this time we're going to be talking a little bit more to the industry and how you can actually harness the power of social media, for example, to, well, I guess, interact with your audience and listen to what they're saying and get the most out of it. So we've invited two of the most expert guests I could find on short notice. I'm just kidding. And they'll be joining me in the studio, but this should just give you a rough indication of what to expect.
In this demo, we'll take a look at the Salesforce Marketing Cloud, the world's first unified social marketing suite. Social media has changed marketing forever. Before social, companies and marketers treated customers like data points. But people are more than just addresses, phone numbers, and credit scores. People are people. And with social media, we are more connected than ever. But social media has created chaos for marketing. PR, campaign managers, and digital teams all manage their own social content using different tools. These teams are fragmented, and there are too many solutions, making it difficult to keep all of your different campaigns in sync and measurable. Introducing the Salesforce Marketing Cloud, the first unified social marketing suite that turns insights into action and connections to customers for life. With the Marketing Cloud, you can listen to social conversations about your industry and company, create stimulating social content to engage and advertise to your customers, and measure the impact of your efforts across social channels in one place, all integrated with Salesforce's industry-leading sales and service clouds. Let's take a closer look at how a company like HP might use the Marketing Cloud. As HP's brand manager, you would want to hear what people are saying about your new Make It Matter campaign, and it looks like people are responding positively on Twitter. You want to extend the campaign to mobile and to Facebook, right from one place. You can then immediately respond to comments, questions, and shared content. And once you're satisfied that your campaign is launched successfully to your fans and followers, you can promote it with targeted advertisements. As new fans emerge through ads, you can automatically create leads, cases, or contacts right in Salesforce, and measure the impact your campaign is having driving engagement, conversions, or other social metrics, and compare these results globally. The Salesforce Marketing Cloud is the world's first unified social marketing suite that turns insights into action and connections into customers for life. Learn more at salesforce.com/marketingcloud.
Well, there you go. With me in the studio right now, we have Robin Leonard and Pauline Pangan from All Famous Digital. Did I get the names right? Did I get the pronunciations right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Welcome to the show, guys. Well, we're kind of casual over here, as you can probably tell from the matches and the stuff we just sort of, But, what fascinated me about having a chat with you earlier on about this social media and trying to mine the most information out of it is we really are perhaps are we the biggest or the third biggest users of social media in the Philippines?
Yeah, we're the third biggest users of Facebook in Asia. And I think we're number 8 in the world.
In the world, considering our population, we're not quite up there, number 3 in Asia and 8 in the world. So we're obviously, we're doing more than our fair share. But the problem's always been, okay, you've got the users, you've got the technology, etc. But how do you get the most out of it? Which is why you have this new solution for us. Is that right? And we're basically talking now to what, car companies? How do they listen in? How do they interact? How do they get the most out of that relationship with the end user using social media? Anyone can start.
Okay, well, yeah, James, I mean, we're coming into a new sunrise industry. Social media is really changing the way that brands interact with fans or consumers. So now brands have a greater opportunity to engage in a contextual level when it's more appropriate. So I guess a really good, simple example is I'm tweeting my friend to say, which one should I buy, the Toyota or the Honda? And at that point, Toyota bumps in and they just say, "Oh, hey, have you checked out the have you checked out the new Toyota, whatever car it is? You're the car expert."
Wow.
So,
So it butts into the like it picks up a keyword like Toyota,
Yeah.
and says, "This is an opportunity for me to say, hey, our new Vios is coming out June 27."
exactly
Like that.
That's right, James.
Well, it listens and it engages with the customer, which for me I think is a great thing, a breakthrough. Because the reason why social media exists is because people, they want to have a voice, and if they want to have a voice as a consumer, then somebody should listen to them. Somebody should respond to them to make them feel that their voice counts. And yeah, this is exactly what Ford did when they launched what car is that again?
Fiesta.
Yeah, Ford Fiesta. That they
Globally, you're
Yeah,
talking about, not
globally.
Philippines, okay?
So they launched that through social media, which is a first for any car industries, and I think they did well.
Okay.
Correctly, the Explorer was the first.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so but it was still a Ford.
I asked you.
So yeah, she did actually. That's true. So okay, that's a very interesting point. But social media is it's, I don't know if you call it two-way street, double-edged sword, whichever way you want to put it. The fact that you can sort of be heard, you can say both positive and negative.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, now you may have a million fans on your Facebook page, but if those are a million whiners, that's going to hurt your brand too. How do you monitor that? How do you manage it?
Sure. Well, a lot of brands they assume once I've got a Facebook or a Twitter presence that I'm opening the floodgates to people
Yeah.
saying bad things about my
like
brand.
a can of worms. That's what paralyzes them. That's why they don't want to do it.
Exactly. But it's actually a really great opportunity
Yeah.
to engage. Even with negative people, it's a great way to engage with them and turn them from being haters into customers for life.
Yeah.
I don't think, I mean, yeah, there are haters. Like you go on YouTube, I mean, you could show a flower growing and they'll find a problem with it, right? Damn you, flower, But
Fair share as well, right?
oh yeah, we get it all the time. But there are people who like professional, not professionals, but okay, if somebody's complaining, you're saying that you have like algorithms that pick up on that. Like even if they're not your friends, they're not on your page, but you're like saying, okay, such and such brand, my car broke down, it's rubbish, don't buy this car, whatever. You could actually somehow track that
Yeah.
and say, whoop, this guy seems to have a problem with our car, and now contact him or her through private message like that, or
There's a tool called Radiant 6. It's part of the Salesforce Marketing Cloud suite. So that's what it does. You key in the keywords, you optimize it, and then it gets the notification, okay, that this car is having car trouble. Is it a positive sentiment? Is it a negative sentiment? And you can engage accordingly. But it's only for public posts.
okay, well that's fine because that's only ones you're really concerned about. I mean, if somebody's privately telling
exactly.
you, okay, so you pick up. I find this very interesting. You say you pick up on sentiments. How do you pick up on sentiments if it's on the internet?
Yeah, well, it's an algorithm in the technology. So it looks for happy smiley faces or sad smiley faces, or swear words or negative words or positive words. So it's not perfect yet. This technology is still evolving. It's still being innovated. So there's some, say sarcasm, for example, it doesn't always pick up correctly.
Well, that happens with people too.
That's true.
Some
That's
people
true.
are dense.
Absolutely. So
That's
yeah.
right. But what it does give you is a really good indication. So you can see if there's a spike in negative sentiment, that something's going wrong. I need to zoom in and pay more attention here.
Okay, so that's a very. So let me just back up a little bit. What you're actually, I guess, selling or providing here is a complete service to, let's say, a manufacturer. If I was, let's say, Ford, Chevrolet, Toyota, or whatever, you would say to me, okay, what would you be proposing to me? I'll take over your Facebook page, I'll take over your website. What exactly do you offer?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. First and foremost, we're a digital agency. So we help brands create online presences where they can engage customers. So, it can be done in a variety of ways. Some of it can be managed service. Sometimes we train customers to use their social presence more. I guess the most important thing when you're venturing into the space is you've got to have authenticity. So regardless of whether you're doing it in-house or outsourcing the service, you need to have someone that's speaking with a brand voice, just like we were talking about before.
Okay. So you would help, let's say, if I guess every car manufacturer that I know of locally has a Facebook page. And that's completely different to the Facebook page that they're overseas or the global page, because they need to interact with some are doing it well, some are not so well. You offer them a solution where you're, number one, you can manage their pages, you're saying, but more importantly, have this suite that you're selling will be able to...
It enables them. So I guess what the issue that most companies have, not just in the car industry, is do I go on Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus and Pinterest and LinkedIn and YouTube and Vimeo and Instagram? There's just so many things out
Just
there.
like what the video said, the introductory video, is that it created chaos because, like what you said, there's a buffet of options out there, and marketers are just overwhelmed with what's the right medium for me and how do you communicate. It has to be consistent. Like there's TV, there's radio, and social media is like about 1 million options. So what we do is we make it easy for them. We do it because every day this is what we've learned, and we know what's the best platform for you to use. And this tool, like what we're talking about, it's actually the Ferrari of platform, because there are a lot of platforms out there that would do the same thing, but it's not as good in the sense that they're not high quality. So the Salesforce Marketing Cloud, it does 6 things basically. So it listens, and then it engages in the customer, and it provides content, and then it goes into advertising, and then you have your workflow and automation.
Okay, let's take that step by step.
Okay.
Listening. That's not illegal, right? No. Not like tapping, right?
That's why
it's all public posts.
Yes.
Okay, so listening, that's the first tool. Let's just talk briefly about each point. You have an algorithm that picks up keywords. If you hear the word Counterflow, you'll notify me in a more sophisticated way than Google Alerts. Is that basically like I have Google
Yes.
Alerts on?
Yeah.
And,
So actually, maybe if we could look at, I think the first image.
okay.
Yeah, so this is a scan that we did, a global scan. So the bigger the word, the more frequently it's been used. So this was actually a scan with over 6.5 million mentions globally, all based on, I think, the top 22 car brands. So you can see there Ford is the biggest, and we can talk about that soon. Then we've got Honda, Jeep, Ferrari, Jaguar. These are all kind of secondary. So this is listening, where you can really use a bunch of keywords and drive very detailed analytics out of a massive data set. 6.5 million mentions. This takes 2 seconds to load. So that's it really turns.
And that's part of the suite that you're.
Absolutely, that's the listening part. So it really turns unstructured data from the internet into very structured data, very structured information that you can drive insights and then actions from.
Yeah, from this conversation cloud that you see, you can already, the bigger, like what Robin said, the bigger the word, the more mentions that you have. You can already see that Ford is ahead in terms of share of voice in the industry.
Okay, but we're only talking social media or websites, anything?
This scan is purely social, but the technology can look at blogs, forums, news sites, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this particular one, we're talking social media.
Yeah, that's
all right. So okay, now you find out, okay, my brand's being talked about the most or not being talked about the most. The next step is, did you say content or engagement? Or?
Okay. Well, so there's a bit in listening actually.
Yeah.
So
Not a bit, a lot. I haven't scratched
Feel
the
free, we have the whole
surface.
show to talk about this.
So this is actually where brands should really start. So say I don't have a Facebook page yet, I'm not sure where to start. I should start by listening. I should see what's going on out there, what are people talking about, what are they interested in, before I start jumping in. So this is a really good opportunity to see how people perceive your brand. Possibly you have an issue at your service centers. There's poor customer service issues. You'll find out very quickly from this, and you can drive real business improvement from that feedback. There's other things where you can see what the perception of cars are, what the performance of cars are. Say maybe there's buyer remorse. Somebody bought a new Ford Focus and they were like, actually, I wish I'd gotten the Honda.
How do you find that out?
Just by their mentions. So again, you look at sentiment, you pick up where there's a spike or a trend, and that just means there's enough people that are creating a emotion that you should be taking seriously.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Very, very, very good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's listening. I guess going on to the next part, engaging, which falls off the back of listening. So once you know what people are saying, you can start to find opportunities to engage them. So just like we've said before, if somebody is looking to buy a car and they tweet to say, which should I choose? That's where you jump in. That's a contextually correct moment to engage somebody.
And how is, okay, I'm curious, how does one do that without saying like, hey, why are you eavesdropping in my conversation? I mean, like, how did they just contact you out of the blue, or?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it's in the maturity of the industry where it's still surprising if a brand communicates.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, like, okay, how would I expect that? I'd be like tweeting publicly, and I'll get a direct messages, or I'd get at jdeacon72. Heard you were looking for a small compact car. Well, have you tried the Vios? And it's coming from Toyota.
Yes,
That's how it.
you can have two options. Like you can do a direct message. Say, for example, you're dealing with
A problem.
confidential
Yeah.
information like
Or a
account
problem.
numbers
Yeah, you don't
or a
want that.
problem. Or you can also or you can also tweet them publicly, depending on their response.
Okay, so I guess I can't take too much offense to that. If I'm putting my voice out publicly,
Yeah.
anyone on Twitter can listen. You don't even have
Exactly.
to be a subscriber, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay. So I
Yeah.
guess that answers that question.
Yeah, so even Pauline, you had an experience.
I
Do you
had
wanna
an
talk
I'm
about
not
that?
sure if I should say. Well, I complained about Sky.
Okay, well, I complained about Globe. And Talk to Globe were on me like white on rice.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, oh, that was fast. They had ninjas coming out. Wow.
Exactly, but I was impressed. I told him, you know what? I'm impressed that you're already jumped in and asked me how I feel, and you don't go butt in and say, why are you saying all these mean things,
Let's
right?
not go there because that happened to me. And I know you know that story.
Should we bring that up?
Well, we can bring it up without the name because I got 3 kids to feed. But yeah, when the brand goes straight to your boss and says, you
Yeah.
tell your employee
Yeah,
to not.
that is
okay.
really,
All right.
really
No-no.
Yeah, so
That's
now-
something that brands should not
should
do.
not.
They should have an etiquette
Absolutely.
because the whole point is that you want to resolve their issue. You want them to become from negative to a brand advocate.
Exactly, because I mean, going over somebody's head only makes them go, yeah, right.
That's right.
Yeah, sure,
That's
that-
not what we
exactly.
want. That's
Yeah,
not what we
that's-
want the consumers to feel. We want them to feel that you're being heard. Like, so what Sky did was really good. Like, hi, this is Sky. If you have concerns, this is our account, and are you happy with the service? So they didn't even say that I heard you say this to that, whatever. They just like
totally.
saying that if there's something that you want to tell us, we're just right here, ready
yeah.
to listen and resolve your issue. And I was really impressed. And
That's true. I have to say, I was also impressed, even with Globe, when they did that. I thought, okay, it's frustrating because at the end of the day, I was just saying, just fix the network. It's not a personal problem I'm having with one. It's just fix the network. But yes, I did somehow appreciate. There were 2 things that happened there. I appreciate them reaching out, and then you feel a little, because you're human too. You don't want to.
exactly.
You feel a bit more the next time you're going to post something really rabid.
Yes,
You're like,
exactly.
there's another
They
human
know
being on the other
this.
side.
Yeah, they hear you.
Yeah.
And
So that's exactly what this tool is all about. So making them a brand advocate and telling them that, hey, we're also like a brand trying to service you,
Yes.
and we don't want to cause you harm. We just want to give you a
Because
good
you got to be
service.
a really nasty person, to kick somebody who's actually extending a hand, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
okay, that's a very, very good point. I guess we just have to take each step into, because digital marketing or digital solutions here is kind of a new thing. And
Yes,
I'm
yes,
sure there are a lot of people saying, well, I can do that myself. Why do I need you guys and have to pay an extra? I can manage my own Facebook page.
It's a very good question. And
Yeah.
that's what we face every day as a digital marketing company. Here in the Philippines, James, you're right to say that we're very conservative. Brands here are quite scared because it's a new territory, and they don't know how the the consumers would respond to them when they open up this like floodgate.
Before we go into the next, because I want you to go through each point, because I think that's very important. How many steps did you say there are?
6.
6 steps. Okay. So we're on the second step. Don't lose your train. What are people doing wrong nowadays with their Facebook pages or social media? What have you
okay.
noticed locally?
Locally, well, there's a mix of things that happen.
Okay, I
locally.
think the first thing that they're
We
doing
don't
wrong.
have to mention names if you were. Okay. I mean, I'm just.
No.
We're
The
trying
first
to
thing,
teach people.
the first thing that they're doing wrong is that they're not doing it.
They're not doing it.
They're not doing it. They have to start doing it. They have to learn, not because it's scary, doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. Because if they don't do it, their competitors will do it and they will get left behind. And right now, like all eyes, because our investment grade is going up steadily, and everybody's looking into Asia because we're saying like into Philippines because we're the next whatever what do you call that, the tiger whatever.
Yeah, tiger economy.
So all
and we're-
companies are going here, so all the more that we need to be competitive.
We have a text here. Is your guest from New Zealand?
Yes, I am.
So you see, we actually have. Well, she's from New Zealand. That's my wife. She's actually. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Just got the message. Yes, he is. Okay. So where were we? Now I lost my train of thought.
It's part sheep, by the way.
Okay. Let's not get started on Kiwi jokes. Right. So we're at the second step now. Did we finish up on what people are doing wrong? You're saying that it's what they're not doing.
Yeah, they
is
have
number
to
one.
start.
You have a Facebook page. This is not necessarily, Facebook shouldn't necessarily be a self-broadcasting platform because people tend to switch out.
Yeah.
So you need to create original content. Is that the next step?
Yeah. Well, this is really when it comes to engaging, right? So you've got to find your voice, and you've got to do it regularly enough. As Pauline said, if you don't do it at all, or if you don't do it enough, people won't know you're there. So being there is everything, really. Yeah.
I think it's Woody Allen who said it's 90% is showing up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just
Exactly.
the digital version of it, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, some brands say, oh, if I'm there too much, people will dislike me. They'll unfriend me or unfollow you. So what? I lose 1 or 2 fans a day, but I gain 30 or 50 a day.
You know, I've always seen social media as a real accurate reflection of real life because, it's just like the guy that, you can have a friend that talks and talks and talks, but he's interesting. You can have the guy that says 2 things in a day and he just annoys you, I mean, so it's just giving you a platform to be able to communicate.
Yes, exactly.
And if you're an annoying person by nature, it'll come across
Yes,
on Facebook,
exactly.
it'll come across in real life, on Twitter.
Absolutely.
So we're digressing now.
I guess the most important thing is that you figure out your voice. That's quite hard for brands to pinpoint. Like, okay, who are we? Are we like the arrogant type? Are we like the underdog? Are we friendly? Are we accommodating? That's one thing that should be consistent to all of your communication channels.
Okay, before we get into the next step, because sorry, I've got so many hundreds of questions here because it's such a new topic. I mean, this is opening up a minefield.
Yeah.
How do brands protect themselves from a point where they're going to be abused, where they feel that this extension is going to abuse? How do you deal with those people?
Well,
'Cause do you find there are professional whiners out there that do nothing but do this so that they get free stuff and whatever?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, so I guess they'll be doing that stuff regardless of whether
Yeah, they're
you're
the same
there.
guys who walk
Yeah.
into the store
Yeah.
going,
Exactly.
Exactly.
or throw their plate in the restaurant and go,
Yeah.
there was a cockroach in my... I didn't need to put on a particular accent for that.
Yeah, but
It's just more exciting.
I guess the analogy is, say, in a relationship, if I've got a problem with my wife or partner, a lot of the problem stays there until she listens to me, until she really hears me, and then responds. Until that happens, we're fighting all the time, right? That's the thing. It's the same example. As a brand or as an angry consumer, a whiner, or even if my point isn't valid, until somebody listens to me, I'm going to keep whining. And as soon as somebody does listen to me and does take me seriously, I'm going to be their number one fan.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We're trying to
Okay.
convert those people.
Okay,
And
that's a
we
good
do
point.
have this mention matrix, like you created this mention matrix.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if a customer is happy, you need to amplify that happiness. And if the customer is angry, all you need to do is resolve their issue. Listen to them and resolve their issue. And if they're
Buying.
you need to sell to them and offer them discounts. If they are
Curious?
that's what you
I
should
wrote
say.
it.
This is your mention matrix, and I really think it's the best answer because as long as you know how you can respond to them, it's not as scary anymore.
Okay, good
Yeah.
point. Now I'm going to get off track, so let's go to where's the next point, the next talking point of the steps in the 6 steps.
So basically, like what I mentioned, we have 6 steps. It also has 3 products. So Radiant 6 is a listening and engaging platform. It also gives you analytics. So what Robin showed you is just the very beginning of Radiant 6. So it has the engagement console whereby you can tweet your the consumers, and it also shows you a dashboard. So what's your share of voice? Who are your influencers? And it's time for you to jump in around
But
it.
you're just doing so well, Pauline. That's
You're both,
great.
like staring at me.
Before she started this business, she was a technophobe. Now she's
yeah?
all about technology. Diba?
I am.
Okay. What about? I'm just gonna play the advocate here because I'm sure it's plenty. Well, why is this any different? If somebody said that's no different than Google Analytics,
Yeah,
what would
yeah,
you say
yeah, yeah.
to that?
Google Analytics is one of my favorite platforms. This performs a very different feature. So Google Analytics tracks the amount of traffic on your website. This is more focused around social media.
Okay.
Yeah. So Google Analytics, it tracks if your traffic comes from social. So we use Google Analytics every day. It's a very important tool.
You can't separate the two. You can't say that I'll just use Google Analytics
Okay.
or not use Google Analytics because you're using this. You have to use both tools.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a new web analytics feature that's coming out with Salesforce. But
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
another
Let's
story.
not blow their
That's
minds.
another show. Another show
Yeah.
altogether. Okay, so we've engaged, we've listened
Yeah.
so far. We've engaged. Is that right?
And
Yeah.
then now the buddy media, which is the content creation.
Okay.
So for the reason why people are astonished with how much we charge our clients because they think it's easy. You start a Facebook page, you think you can do it on your own, and it just posts every day. But it takes a lot of work. So for our team, we have like a social media specialist, we have a community manager, you have artists, you have content writer. So it's different jobs. You also have a digital project manager. You have someone focusing on the ads and the analytics of the ads if it's targeted well. So these people, they have different jobs. It's the reason why it.
Yeah, it's a complicated process, digital marketing, and that's where we come in. If brands don't want to take on this big thing, while they're still not sure if there's ROI in it, we can help them just test it out a bit. Like I always recommend brands to do it themselves because it's more authentic. I always do, without doubt. But if they need help or they just want to test it, we can help them do that. We've got repeatable processes. We understand what each person does. We train people for this specifically. So it's a little bit risky if you bring in a new person that says they know this, but they may not. Whereas we've gone through those people already, and now we've got a good team.
Yeah, and we can scale it because we're handling different brands. So, there's that economy of scale. But Buddy Media allows you to create content so easily. Can you
How?
tell us about
Yeah.
it?
Oh, okay. Well, Buddy Media, it's just I say it again, it's the Ferrari of social media marketing.
Yeah, he corrected me, but
I was saying that it's a
He
Swiss
could-
Army knife.
yeah,
it's a
but
Swiss Army
it's
knife
both.
as well.
It's both.
It
It's
is, yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. I get you're saying it's like the yeah, okay, gotcha.
It's like a Swiss Army knife with a V8 engine.
Yeah.
So it's a powerful tool. So Buddy Media is all about content creation through your social channels. So it really creates great places for your customers to come and hang out with you. They can interact with you, engage with you, gain value from you. It's just sexy technology. So one area that they focus on, they do really well in, is the Facebook tabs.
Yeah.
So those apps that people sometimes build and Facebook, yeah.
Okay.
So say, for example, they
like
want...
Farmville, no?
No,
no,
it's more like
if they want to have a competition and people are going to pick like a particular, I don't know, price
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
So you have to have a web developer for that.
yeah. Facebook applications are very difficult
Yeah.
to build. Yeah,
It's
well,
not
not
that
very,
easy.
but they're difficult. So Buddy Media just makes it easy. You don't need a web developer. You don't need an IT manager. You can really just
Drag and drop.
Yeah, it just requires a designer. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. So the tool Buddy Media is massive. We could go on about it all day. It's got ads involved. It's got ROI tracking from social to web. And it's got all sorts of features that are really rich and quite amazing.
And ROI, Robin just mentioned it. ROI is something that people are so anal about. They're like, that's what they always ask. What's the ROI of social media? And with this tool, you can actually see it. Like every peso.
Do we have a good advertising platform for social media or websites and stuff? I mean, because in my industry, it's still magazine, and that's still everyone's just like, no, that's working for us here because the computer penetration, internet penetration is pretty high, but computer penetration in the Philippines is very, very low. Is that right? Or
Well, Philippines, it's about 30% internet penetration, and it's also that's not spread throughout the country, so it's really focused in Metro Manila, which is a large mass of that number. So you're right, it's an issue. But the beautiful thing about the Philippines is that all of these low-cost smartphone devices are giving everyday people access to the internet.
That's true.
Facebook has such a high penetration rate for the online users. So, I mean, right now, 30% internet penetration. In 5 years, I expect it to be 50%. So another 20% of how many people? 100 million people?
Yeah, let's just go 100 million. It's easy.
So that's 20 million more people on Facebook within a couple of years.
Yeah.
That's a huge number of consumers that you can market to.
And people are addicted to Facebook. They can't put their phones down for just maybe half an hour. Our friends are like that. We're out and nobody's socializing anymore because they're on social media.
Yeah, that's
so,
true.
and this is how do you call that? It's not paid media. It's earned media.
Okay, how do you have in your suite something to say, well, this is not my target market? I mean, if somebody's using a 2,000 peso device, going on Facebook, but they're not really a car buyer.
Yeah,
How do you distinguish that? I mean, do you have demographics or income?
It's a really good question, James. Yes, the answer is yes. You can use different variables within the Facebook ads to target specific people. It's a developing technology. It's very much at its start. Today, Facebook announced they're simplifying their ad structures. So right now, there's 27 different variations on structuring ads in Facebook. So going forward, that's going to be reduced and it's going to be a lot easier to do. But so you can focus on demographics, age, location. You can look at interests.
Yeah.
So I can target an ad for somebody that is a Ford fan. I can give them Ford advertising. Or if they're a fan of a certain type of tire, it's a racing tire, then I can start to drive assumptions about those people and target my advertising.
Okay.
Even location. Say, for example, you want to target people living in Ayala, Alabang. You can put that in. If you want to target people living in Fort or Forbes, you can target that.
Yeah, so
that's why, when you open your Facebook page and you see the ads on the right side, that's actually the psychology of who you are. Because every
So why is it
page
all
that
women and... I thought that was just...
that's just
your
you,
wife
James.
is watching, James.
Just kidding. That's because my kids get on my computer. That's why. They're targeted. Well, on location, it's quite funny because Soler, which is the hottest new ritzy place, is in Baclaran. If you ask Facebook, so that's it.
Or Pasay.
It's actually Baclaran. That's okay. So you can profile the person. You're saying it's imperfect, but it's getting there. So you're actually fine tuning and speaking and trying to figure out who that person is. What is the next step in the 6? We've covered let's just go through them again. We've covered the listening, the engaging, the buddy content.
The buddy media, which is content
media.
creation. Wait, before we move to the next one, I just want to say the good thing about ads and through social media is that it's so cheap. So you targeted these people. They are the people who's more likely to buy from you, and you only pay when they click. That's why it's called pay-per-click. But if you say, for example, do a TV ad, which will cost you millions, and say, for example, the daddy who's supposed to buy the car just went to the toilet, you missed your ad. It's like
That's
a 6
true.
million ad that you missed, plus airtime. But here, you will only get charged if they click.
Do you find that the people trust social media ads more than traditional ads because it's somehow
There's a variation of Facebook ads that have that element of trust. So people don't trust advertising generally. I think 14% of people do, whereas word of mouth people trust. I think it's 84%. So there's something really big there. Word of mouth is still massive.
So, for example, let me just cut you.
Okay.
Sorry. Say, for example, James, we're trying to sell to you a car, and I'm from Ford, and Robin is your friend. Who would you trust more?
Absolutely. Okay, I get the,
And
I get the
Robin
point.
is someone who's driving a Ford, who used to drive a BMW, and I'm just like doing it to you, sales, like a
Yes,
sales,
absolutely, 'cause
salesperson way.
The reason I ask is that yes, that's where the internet first, well, especially
Yes.
blogs and stuff, it became you would trust a blog. But I mean, I guess now blogs are being purchased, and I mean that's a growing problem.
Yeah.
And a lot of bloggers have been taking. There's some of them are getting a bad name when they either sell their opinion or they do what you call the ACDC type thing, which is attack, collect, defend, collect.
Yeah.
No matter which way, as soon as they get their fingers on the keyboard, they're getting paid from somebody.
Yes, exactly.
So this is where now people have learned to sort of sift, and it's people you trust only, your friends. But when you hear it on social media, I guess there's a way to find out how it's trending. You can do a bit more research, etc.
I guess the whole point here is that consumers are smarter now. You can't just say you put an ad, okay, they'll buy it, because for them they think for themselves and they gather information. And when they gather that information, you might as well be the one feeding that to them, and you're ready to give them the kind of content that they want to hear.
Yeah, it's actually a really good point. The car decision making process it's not a frequent process, right? I don't buy a car very often. Maybe if I buy it frequently, maybe once every 3 years, maybe longer, maybe once every 10 years.
Well, not here in the Philippines.
Yeah, so
People buy 4 cars in a year. James can testify to that.
Absolutely, especially coding.
yeah. So for a car manufacturer or even a dealership, they need to build this fan base of people. They need to nurture them with great content, so they grow loyalty towards that brand.
Yeah.
They start to realize, actually, I want a Ford. They seem to be coming up with some cool things, And then once they do get to that point where they're deciding to buy, that's where hopefully they'll steer towards your brand, or ideally they'll tweet someone and say, hey, I'm thinking about buying a new car. And then you can also jump in and reinforce your message.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were also saying, aside from the buying, I also like the fact that they can monitor their customer service, etc. Of course, I think the lifeblood we all know of a car manufacturer here is really the dealerships, because the profit margin that they make with the actual purchase is nothing by comparison to the relationship they have with maintenance and service. And this is where they're cutthroat right now, because if I'm a dealer, I'm willing to sell you a car for 500 pesos profit. I don't care. Hey, even if I don't make money out of it, I just need you to come and service the car through me.
Every month, right? Or every
So you
3
can
months.
now, if you are, let's say, Toyota or Honda, you can sort of be the headquarters, right?
Yep.
And you
Yep.
can pinpoint, we're getting a trending. I'm just saying, is this
Yep.
possible?
Yeah.
We're getting a trending situation with our dealer in this
Yep.
particular suburb.
Definitely.
You can do that.
Definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's such a good example of how you can use it to really spot what's going on and
Yeah.
focus
Yeah.
in on it. Yeah.
And drill into it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's actually an interesting use case. How do dealers get onto social media versus how does a car manufacturer get on? So car manufacturers, it's all about brand awareness, brand loyalty, brand trust. It's about showing that your car is the best car out there and engaging these people and maintaining a long-term relationship with them. For a car dealer, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more like a B2B cycle. So you've got a guy that comes in, he may have bought a car off you before. How are you going to make sure he comes back to buy another one from you? And that's really a CRM process where you've got to maintain familiarity with him, maintain trust with him, I guess help him out. So a good example is what Samsung did. So you're an iPhone user. Samsung is not an easy phone to use. It's a little bit harder than an iPhone. So what Samsung do is they give a lot of information through content to their fans to say, hey, do you know how to use the S Pen on your Samsung Note 2? And a lot of people are like, oh, no, it's too complex. But they help you maximize the phone. So a car dealer may be able to do the same thing with their drivers.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And there's
You
so
know-
much content. Oh my God. Like for female drivers, how many female drive? And we are so clueless with what to do with our cars. The only
Yeah.
thing we know,
I didn't say that.
we are.
I-
I'm
you heard it
sorry
from the
to-
source
yeah. We are clueless. The only thing we know how to do is get in our car and drive it. But like, what if it breaks down? What do we do? What kind of maintenance do we do? And you want to be the car that provides me that information, so I go to you. I go to your dealership. But nobody's doing that.
Exactly.
All right, so now we're past the buddy content. We're in the next number 4, where we are. What's in the 4th step?
Pauline?
Well, it's the workflow
Advertise.
and advertise first.
Yeah. So we've actually already touched on advertising. There are some developments in the ad world, and I highly recommend if a brand or a dealership is just starting with their Facebook page, it's the fastest way to get any kind of community built. If you try organically, it's just going to take forever. You know, the hardest you'll try, it's kind of a wasted effort almost.
Yeah.
So
So you don't want to waste the content that you're pushing out without the fan base.
Yeah, exactly.
So you want to build your fan base first, and then keep pushing content to sustain them and keep them interested.
Okay.
So this platform actually, and this is revolutionary, it's only just been announced maybe a month ago, social.com, which is part of the Salesforce
Sweet,
Marketing Cloud. So that allows you to take additional data and to really focus your advertising. So you can take listening data, so you can see, I can find people that are talking about cars already, and I can target my advertising to them. I can also use my existing CRM information. So maybe I'm a car dealer that has a lot of data on my customers. I know their address, I know their dog's name, I know their wife's birthday. You can start to target them with that data as well. So it just brings in more information for you to target properly.
That's really, it says, I guess the Army used to have that saying, intelligence, intelligence, intelligence.
Yes,
Exactly.
And it always
definitely.
came down to that. I mean,
Yeah.
you will not make decisions without good intelligence on the
Information,
ground. So this is
yes.
what you're basically offering people. And your customers would be car companies, etc.
Yeah.
Would be able to benefit from this. So it's now, if I'm understanding correctly, because I'm also very new into this whole thing, it's about maximizing the power, because the internet's power is limitless, right?
Limitless. It's a market without
Maximizing it.
borders. Like
And harnessing and mining information correctly and getting that data so that you have the proper intelligence to make proper decisions. You can also check, I saw something on your on the video, you can monitor your campaigns. So let's say you're starting off a campaign and you think, okay, because these are never guaranteed. Sometimes a campaign
Yes,
flies, and sometimes
exactly.
it's,
You're
and you
so
know when to
right.
stop. Let's say it's a campaign that's just
Flop.
going out of control.
Yeah.
A good example of this, actually, rather not mention the name because they were good enough to realize that the problem, but a campaign where a car was being launched and going around the country, sort of even before the launch was happening, was driving around, so you have a chance to see it on the road. Started off as a great idea, but was starting to turn a bit sour when they had escorts and stuff, and people on social media were actually
yes,
complaining,
exactly. That's a
and they were
very
saying,
good-
"Oh, that only," because nobody likes the bullies on
Yeah,
the road,
exactly.
right? With the, what we
Yeah,
call
I
the
hate that
wang-wangs.
too.
Everyone hates that.
The wang-wangs?
I guess it was something that they they
Yeah.
oversaw, overlooked, and there were police escorts, etc. The reason I'm not mentioning it anyway because of the brand is because I picked up on it because it crossed my radar because I'm in the industry. And I started noticing this, and I sent it straight as soon as it happened. It was like day one when this happened, with the first few hours of the event. So I sent it to the head of the marketing, and within an hour or so, they had already made adjustments.
yeah.
But that
Thank you,
is-
social media, for
Yes.
saving them a lot of money,
Exactly,
right?
because had they not done that,
Yeah.
they could have had this campaign that they thought was going well, but they're not.
Yeah,
they
and people
couldn't
are
hear.
hating them, right?
And hating it. And it was just an oversight. It was
Yeah.
just everything would have been fine had it not been for the escorts, etc. You have in your suite something that picks up on this. So if I'm running a campaign, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to do, let's say, Chevrolet's got this Game On campaign.
Yeah.
And Ford would have this another campaign going
Yeah.
on. You'd be able to monitor that and
Yes,
say,
yeah,
this is
every
going well, this is
day.
going well. Whoa, it's not going well, it's not
Yeah,
going well.
every day in real time, you can see, you can put all your competitors there and see, like, why is my share of, like what I mentioned a while ago, why is my share of voice decreased today when yesterday I had more share of voice? So if there's a sudden spike, you already see that, okay, my competitor is doing something and I should counteract that. counteract that, you should show a photo.
Because I'm not
get it
so,
up.
it's not right up my core competence. How is this different to any other thing that's being offered right now by maybe competitors and what's already out there that companies are using? What's the unique selling point of this?
Of this technology?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's really we keep going back to it. It's the Ferrari. So there are other platforms that do it, and some other ones do it cheaper, but they're not necessarily the best.
Yeah.
So Salesforce, they're a $3 billion a year company. They make a lot of revenue. They've got direct access to the data in Twitter,
Yeah.
which a lot of other listening platforms don't have. So they're limited in that pipe. Salesforce have got it fully open. They've got a lot of other strategic partnerships as well with other social networks. So, for example, they just this week they connected with, I can't remember the names, 2 major Chinese social networks, the Facebook equivalent. No other listening platform has that. So there's a lot of, I guess, strategic benefits
Partnerships,
to this type of technology. Plus, they also integrate with Salesforce CRM. They have a bunch of different platforms that work really well together.
And this is not something that you need to program. It's it's just a platform. It doesn't require building it up or programming it. It's just you use it now and it's there.
Okay, I'll ask probably the obvious question. Next obvious question somebody asks is, why don't I go direct? That seems to be
That's
Yeah.
a very good question.
So we're the only local presence here for this. So we provide training, we help you get set up. If it's not working out for you, or if you're not really maximizing the power of it, then we're failing, because you're not going to renew your licenses. So our job is really to help handhold you through the process until you're up to speed on your own. Or alternatively, we can provide a managed service as well and just help you get
Yeah.
something out there.
Yeah, we're not in competition with Salesforce. Obviously, they are, we are in partnership with them. But I think the reason why we exist here in the Philippines is so that you're talking to a local partner
Yeah.
who understands the market, and you can call our mobile numbers when you have problems. And, so rather than talking to someone who's sleeping while you're working.
That's okay. I have my own personal experience with that. With the I was trying to set up a website, and everyone's saying, "Wow, it's so easy. What do you need this? You don't need a developer. You just go and do a WordPress account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go straight to the source, whatever." And after I had pulled like just about every hair I had out and kicked the dog. Sorry, Nala. Eventually, I did need somebody
Yeah.
that could actually sort of hold my hand through the whole thing, and then take the misery out of it, because it
Yes,
is a daunting
yeah.
task.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
So even if you're saying that even if you got, okay, you can go and get the suite yourself or whatever, that's fine. But if you don't know how to use it,
Yes, exactly. And
it's a pity.
you don't maximize the power of the tool, which is a waste for us. We came across some clients who's already using it, but they don't know the entire feature, and we feel like, wait, that's like sayang. You're not using the whole power of it.
Okay.
There's still a need to create an ROI loop. Even if you have the best technology, there's a million ways you can implement
Yeah,
it. You still need someone with digital expertise to say, this is what your objective is, this is how we're going to measure it, and this is what we're going to do to achieve it. It's as simple as that. There's a lot of different ways of doing that. So when people ask me, what's the ROI of a Facebook fan? It's really nothing unless you do something with that fan. Unless you one day intend to convert them into a customer, it's kind of just there for vanity. So you really have to have a plan to get them converted, to get them through to your website where they can sign up or register or ideally buy.
Exactly. And James, this industry is rapidly changing. Like what we're saying now might be different tomorrow. Tomorrow, Salesforce might come up with a new technology that will totally erase this whole thing.
Yeah, or
It's
there may
just-
be a new social network that comes out tomorrow. It's changing every single day. It's really hard to keep up. And brands themselves, unless they hire somebody to really focus on what's going on in this digital landscape, they're going to be doing strategies from 3 years ago or what somebody once told them. They really need to keep up to date, and they need someone with their eyes on it. So we provide that function for brands that don't want to invest in that person. But we always recommend strategically you need a social media owner in your company.
Okay, you need a social media owner in your company. And this is something that companies are not necessarily dedicating budget to, but they should.
Yes.
That's basically what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Okay, we only have about a few more minutes, about less than 10 minutes to go.
Okay.
So let's cover the last two steps or one step. I've lost count.
Those last two steps, it's really, what's the other one? There's automation and...
Workflow and automation.
Yeah, workflow and automation. So that's kind of like stage 5,
Yeah.
right? It's once you've really figured out listening, engagement, content, all of those things are not easy to get through. So the workflow and automation stuff is once you've got a very well-oiled machine, then you can do some really cool things like set up notifications for a certain trend, or transfer a sales lead from Twitter into CRM, and then follow them through a marketing automation process. So those are very advanced, very mature processes. I think, if we were to say what brands should focus on, listen first.
Yep.
It's like listen before you act is a very old saying, right? Brands should do the same thing. They should figure out what people are talking about, what is interesting to people, what other brands are doing in your space, and then create a strategy to fit in accurately.
We were talking off the air. I don't think we even touched on this. We were supposed to show some brands that have been doing this very well.
Yes. Okay. Well,
We only showed like one slide. So
maybe if we can look at the number 4, Ford Facebook. So this is actually a global Facebook of Ford Mustang. So Ford are really leaps and bounds ahead of any other car manufacturer. It's just incredible what they've done.
why is that?
Well,
they embraced it.
They did.
Quicker?
You know what they did? They hired a really great social media owner. That's all they did. They hired someone that was revolutionary.
Who?
And I can't remember. What's his name? Scott Monty?
This is the guy that we're gonna end with a video with, right? Okay.
Yes, that's
because
right.
Alan Mulally is one of the most incredible CEOs in the history of CEOs, and I've had the pleasure of meeting the guy more than once, and he is just wow. You'll actually be. He's got that Steve Jobsness about him, without the smell, and.
Did you smell it?
Well, apparently, I read the book.
Yeah,
Steve Jobs, he's organic,
Rest in peace.
I mean, yeah, you can plant camote in there, But yeah, he's that kind of rock star CEO quality. I mean, because he was such a forward thinker and actually such a simple thinker. The way he just sort of looked at something, so I can imagine him driving this. So run us through why Ford, what happened with them, and why they were.
Yeah, so this guy Scott, he started about 2 years ago, and basically, I think his first major launch was the Explorer. Yeah, so the Explorer, he revealed it on Facebook, which is really unusual. It's never at a Facebook. It's usually car shows, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so he got all of this excitement he generated, he put it on Facebook, and he launched the car on Facebook, which is quite a revolutionary thing to do. It was the first social launch of a car in the world. So that created a huge amount of buzz in the industry, and it ended up having amazing sales for Ford in a time where there was a massive financial downturn in the market. Ford were the only car manufacturer, I may not be correct, that didn't need a bailout from the
Yeah,
government.
well, that's actually
Close to
true.
correct.
That's true. They were, well, not the only one, but the Americans of the American brands that were
yes.
suffering. And Alan Mulally came in from Boeing, and he just looked at Ford, and he just said, whoa, Ford needs to merge with Ford.
Yeah.
That's it. He said, we got too many distractions. We got Aston Martin, Jaguar, Land Rover, and all that. What are we doing here? The core brand is that blue oval. We spent over 100 years developing this brand. Only what? To talk to these other brands? No. And he put everything he had into Ford, and he created one Ford. And now it's just, he said, all those resources, all those brains go into making a desirable product like the Mustang, the Explorer. So it's amazing what the guy did, and I can just see now from what you're talking about with Ford and how they've handled their social media. A lot of people could learn from this. As a matter of fact, we will be ending with a video. I think we've run out of time now, so we're just going to have to leave it there, guys. But we've got an 8-minute video that you really should watch if you want to see how Ford were able to harness the power of social media roughly with what you guys are doing. Now, we'll just end with how do people get in touch with you guys? If let's say they're interested and they want to take this further, what do? They look for All Famous on
the website.
We're
So
everywhere.
everywhere. Just, I mean, you can
basically, if you can't find them, they haven't done their job.
exactly.
Everywhere.
Just go to allfamous.com, allfamous.com, or search for us on social. We're very active on social networks, especially if you want to get daily tips, information about how you can improve your social media and your digital marketing. Social media is the place to follow us.
I guess the parting message I want to give the listeners is that you have to learn social media because it's not going away. Even if you're in the car industry or you're an individual trying to boost your career, it really helps if you have a social media presence.
All right. And there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. So we'll leave you with this 8-minute video, which shows just how Ford did it. Till then, guys, I've been James Deacon. My guests, I'd like to thank Robin and Pauline for dropping by.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So drive safely, everyone.
Now, in true Salesforce format, we're going to tell some stories. The first story will be told by someone who was called by Alan Mulally, one of the greatest CEOs ever, the best practitioner in corporate America for social media. Ladies and gentlemen, the head of all social media for Ford Motor Company, Scott Monty. Thank you for joining us,
It's
Scott.
a pleasure, Mike. Glad to be here.
So, when you think of connecting with customers in a whole new way, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think we need to step back about 6 years or so to look at when Alan first came to Ford. In 2006, Ford was on the ropes. We actually were challenged. We were losing lots of money, and we decided that it was time to go to the banks and to take out a little bit of what Alan called a home improvement loan, $23.5 billion to be exact. And what we did is we poured that into our product development. We poured it into R&D. We poured it into making the products that people actually want and value. Because for a long time, the U.S. auto manufacturing industry has been accused of making cars that they want rather than cars that the public wants. And Alan came in and he said, it's time to change how we're doing things. It's time to listen to customers. And frankly, it's time within Ford that we all start coming together and uniting. Ford was notorious for having a series of fiefdoms. There was Ford of Europe, Ford of Asia Pacific and Africa, Ford of the Americas, and each one of them did business individually without respect to the other. And he said, we have a global company with global manufacturing expertise, global marketing expertise, so let's actually make this part of our focus. Let's become one Ford. So we all have one plan that we're working on with one set of goals, and we're one team. And that alone actually transformed the company. It was a culture shift.
It was internal change.
Absolutely internal change, but we talked about it externally as well. And this is the Ford plan. And what that has done is it's cleared the way for social. Now, back in 2006, Alan wasn't thinking about social. But in 2008, we started to get more strategic about it. I was brought in, and we started doing things with not just automotive bloggers, but with mom bloggers and tech writers and lifestyle journalists and whatnot, to really open it up to people that are talking about our vehicles. Because we realized that we had two major challenges. In addition to what a number of our board members said was a reputation problem, and Alan said, no, we don't have a reputation problem. We have a business problem. We need to fix that. You fix your product first, then you fix your marketing, right? As long as we have the products that we are proud of and a plan that we can be proud of, we can start talking about that. But in addition to that, people don't trust corporations the way they used to. Who do they trust? Third-party experts?
Absolutely.
And people like them. People like them. So we decided it's time to start showing the public that there are people like them at Ford Motor Company, perhaps employees, dealers, suppliers, or other customers. And it was our opportunity to connect them not only with Ford, but with each other. And so in addition to the One Ford plan, we developed a One Social vision for Ford. Because right now, everybody around the company has somebody above them saying, you must do social. And so there's all sorts of different modes of social going on within Ford. And we said, you know what? We need to unite everyone on social. And our social vision is about a human-centered, value-adding proposition. And we have 4 steps to our plan. Listen and engage.
I like that one so far.
Right? You'll see where this is going. Measure and monitor.
Love that one.
Training and learning internally.
Amazing.
And then growth at scale. Once we have all of our employees actually being social, we can scale this at a level we otherwise couldn't. Okay, so that's kind of the one Ford and the one social vision for where we're going. It's very early days with that vision, but it's having that in place is going to help us have the structure with the governance and whatnot to actually make it happen. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the programs that we've actually done. In 2010, we completely redesigned and relaunched the Ford Explorer. Iconic vehicle. 20 years on the market, it defined the SUVs, right? And we decided if we're going to reinvent the vehicle, we should reinvent the way we introduce it to the public. Typically, automakers would go to an auto show, talk to auto journalists, right? It was completely inside the bubble. So we decided, let's reveal it in 8 cities simultaneously and on Facebook. We were the first auto manufacturer to reveal a vehicle on Facebook.
Early, and that was bold. That was early days.
Well, those are different times, too. I mean, this is 2010, and Facebook, I mean, as great as they are now, they were still big then, which is one of the reasons we went there, but it was a little bit different. For example, the like button that you see everywhere now, we actually took it out of Facebook and put it on a Yahoo homepage ad. Facebook had something to say about that. I know David can comment on that later. But we said, look, we're going to drive people to your platform. And what we did is, we just didn't say, hey, here's our car. We set up a series of stories, right? Because content is the currency of social. Content is the currency of social. And we provided a series of events and pieces of content that day. We had a tab created with our friends at Marketing Cloud that allowed us to go right down and allow people to choose what content mattered to them. Right, so they could pick and choose the stuff that mattered to them. And it was interviews with the 2 women who were the project managers for the reinvention. It was the chief engineer and his family. It was the designer who talked about learning from his mother, who was a ballet dancer. All these things that were stories that engaged people. At the end of the day, and our goal that day was to own the news, we had nearly 100 million social media impressions. Again, this is 2 years ago, so Twitter and Facebook aren't where they are today. But we were the #1 trending topic on Twitter that morning. We were the #2 trend on Google overall, and we were only #2 because that was one of the days that Lindsay Lohan was being admitted to or released from some facility. So
that was a campaign, but you didn't just stop there.
No, and as you see, it outperformed a Super Bowl ad, right? And we took that as an indicator that we could be successful in the social space at the scale we were used to with traditional media, okay? So we actually went on just this year as we debut the brand new 2013 Ford Fusion and hybrid and plug-in hybrid, that we've got a transmedia campaign with Ryan Seacrest as a star. Joel McHale and Kate McCucci also play supporting roles. And again, this is content-driven. And we're doing random acts, big and small, popping up in random places throughout the country and giving people an opportunity to see and touch and feel the car before anybody else.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Scott. That is amazing stuff. The fact you did it with the Marketing Cloud makes it even more amazing. But let's keep reinventing the space.
Thank you, Michael.
Everyone, Scott Monty.